Okay, hello, good morning everybody. I know it's hot out and a lot of people don't want to do a whole lot on a Saturday morning when it's hot out other than hang out at the pool, so thank you for being here. That's probably what I'm going to do afterwards. So my name is Rachel Gomez and I'm with the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. I present here at Tech Alley once a month, usually covering innovation essentials. So I'm also a tech founder, so I understand the entire process and journey and emotional, journey and all of that for a tech founder. But as a business advisor, I'm also able to apply a lot of those business fundamentals to what I'm doing. So I love the fact that I can come here and share and connect with the tech community and small business community and see how I can be a resource for you all. What's that? Oh. So we cover different topics every month, and I'd like to go through the real fundamentals. Like last time we went over business plans and a marketing plan and then a pitch deck, right? Doing things in sequential order so that you have the proper framework before you just jump out and start putting some visuals together and pitch to investors. So we really want to make sure that we have a lot of these fundamentals in place. So today we're going to talk about marketing and the importance of understanding what your brand is, how you can be found, different marketing strategies. Again, your product could be great, but it doesn't mean anything if nobody can find it. So again, part of my background, business advisor, I'm also an HR consultant, had my own staffing agency for about 15 years or so. I formed a business chamber for the creative community because that is my love and passion, and that is what my tech platform serves as well as for the entertainment community. I've over 25 experience. I know that's a lot, but I specialize in systems integrations, operations, and strategic growth. Who is SBDC? So we are your first call to start or grow your business. We are primarily funded by the Small Business Administration, the SBA, and then we also work underneath UNLV's Office of Economic Development. So we are able to provide our services to you at no cost, ever. So if you call and you're like, Rachel, I need to understand the difference between an LLC and a corporation. Which way should I file? What does it mean to do an S-Corp? I'm looking for potential funding. They said I need a business plan. I want to pitch to investors. Help me put a pitch deck together. Whatever stage it's at, we try to be that resource for you. And again, provided at no cost. So I like to view it that it's your tax dollars at work. And let's see. So we're going to cover build it and they will come, that whole myth, right? But the truth is 90% of startups fail, not because of bad products, but because nobody knew they ever existed. And so at the SBDC, even with my clients, I want to say probably 70% come to me, whether it's early stage, I have an idea, I have a concept, or I've developed kind of like an MVP, or in the process of developing an app, and I just don't know what to do next. Or those that are a little bit more established, and maybe they've already hit the ceiling for whatever their marketing strategies were. And they're like, what next, right? There's a lot of competition out there with technology. It's just made it much more competitive. And so the majority of them that come to us or come to me look for marketing help. And then tech founders, how many here is a tech founder? Very good. And so do you find that you've invested more in building and developing versus marketing, right? And I'm guilty of that as well. It's always there's something more to fix. There's some new features I can add to my platform. And then when I look at my marketing budget, it's like, well, I need to put it towards development, right? So, but we can't underestimate the value of marketing. So figure out the timing, let's create a plan and make sure that you're including a marketing strategy in there. So why marketing matters, especially early, right? You may have a product. What is your plan for the validation of your product? Find early adopters, right? Who can come in and test it, beta test it, give you feedback? That's really important before you even put together that pitch deck and start saying, hey, Mr. Investor, I want your money because I've got this great idea. So really important to validate it and make sure that you've got a viable product and you've got feedback from potential actual users. And then you want to be able to put all of that in a pitch deck, present that to your investors, makes it sound a lot more attractive, and then use that to build momentum, right? You're building them in stages. Marketing channels that work. I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. We do have guest speakers I announced outside, Sunshine and her team, and they're going to go a little bit deeper in some other marketing strategies. But just kind of on a high level, right? Startups change over time. So I remembered when I started mine 2.5 years ago, what I needed then was very different from a marketing standpoint than today. Back then it was brand recognition. How can I get these early adopters? How can I get feedback if people don't recognize my brand? People don't know what I'm about. So that was a lot of early stuff that I did. Is it still important? Absolutely. But it's also changed in the way that I need to do that moving forward. So for pre-launch, what can you do? You can create a landing page, right? And then talk about your unique value proposition. That's really important. If you're just talking to people about it, but they have no place to go check you out, well, it could just be an idea. How many people in the tech community have ideas, or in the startup community? Entrepreneurs, right? Exactly. So have something physical and visual that people can go check out and look at. Build early interest and validate your idea. Use social media. Maybe not with a whole social media marketing strategy quite yet, but can you introduce yourself as a founder of a new company and then use that, leverage that and say what the company is about? Talk about what the problem was that you were seeing and the solution that you're trying to solve, right? And then community engagement, a lot of what you guys are doing here, just to see who's doing what and kind of where you fit in all of that. Early stage, by the time you have 0 to 10 customers, what else can you do? Expand on your content marketing. Beta user outreach. I'm right there. We have probably, still early stage, 350 users, right? Still early stage. And I still have to go to this early stage 0 to 10 customers strategy. So there's nothing wrong with it. But these are just some ideas and some thoughts. So branding for tech startups, a practical framework. So positioning, okay? Your positioning. Who is it for? What problem are you solving better than anyone else? Because there could be 10 other companies or 100 other companies doing what you do. But what makes you different? What makes your company different? Maybe you're all doing the same thing, but what makes working with you different? Can they connect with your mission, with your vibe? Right? So there are a lot of different things that you can make unique out of you and your business that makes you more competitive. So what's your voice, the tone, right? And then consistency across all products, website, customer service, and social, etc. And then what is your elevator pitch? Who here has an elevator pitch?
Do it.
It's I'm not going to put you on the spot. Anybody want to? Okay, I'd love to hear, Marcus. You want to share? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm Marcus, founder and CEO of Zero Kill Food. We rescue food before it becomes waste.
Ooh.
Simply by changing how you store and transport the food. The first product we're introducing will be baby food.
Very good.
Wow.
So very good. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for sharing that. So even that first line, right? Was it very clear what his mission was, what his vibe was, what his position is, how he intends to generate revenue, right? So that was very, very clear. So that's the challenge for you guys, right? Start thinking in terms of what is your elevator pitch, not just what is your product, right? But you want to have all of that messaging in there. So start playing around. It can start off as a 10-second, 30-second pitch, and then just start condensing it. And then I always say it's good to have the one-liner, it's good to have the 10-second, the 30-second. If you have somebody's attention at a party, make sure you've got 3 minutes worth of content to get their attention. So those are some things that you can work on. Common mistakes startups make: launching with no audience. When I started my platform, and just an example, and I know there are many, many out there with really great success stories, mine is still in the process, but I know when I launched mine, I had a large launch party. And I thought, I'm going to show them my MVP, everything that I can show them, and focus on really what my position is in the marketplace, how I'm going to help that audience, right? And I want to say our launch party had 120 people. And so those were actual users of the product, but that was exactly my target audience. Copy pasting competitors' branding. If you're entering into a market where there's already businesses, products, companies, services, don't think that you have to imitate them, right? Create your own brand, create your own voice. You really want to be able to stand out. Thinking marketing is only after the launch, and then ignoring feedback loops. So feedback is very important. I'm still deathly afraid of getting feedback, but I know how valuable it is as a tech founder, and it is very important. Don't be afraid to get that from your users, your early adopters, any of those people. What you can do today: define your brand positioning in one sentence, like Marcus did. He expanded to 3, but we were very clear on what it was with his first sentence. Audit your current presence. Is it consistent? Start building an audience before launch, and then choose one marketing experiment to test next month.
Nice.
Tech founder branding. So we don't always put a lot of emphasis on personal branding or the professional branding of things, but I will say that with my clients, when we start talking about putting together a business plan or a pitch deck, one thing I always say is don't forget the importance of your management team. They want to see that, right? It's great if I have all of these experiences that lend credibility to what I do or to my product, but if I don't have others that say, you know, I too am an expert in this particular area and I'm coming in to join forces, we're going to be a stronger team. And then by the time that you get to 2 or 3, say advisors, if you have like a board of advisors or something, those are really important. But for founders, when you look at it, who was the founder? That's the heart and soul of the company. Also a person who comes up with the idea and then transforms it to real life. And there's that saying that your founder should never be the CEO of the company. So at some point, that should also transition. The designer, the creative forces behind businesses. They're the ones that are responsible for turning ideas into visually compelling works. And who's the developer? The brain behind businesses. Developers with 7 years of experience in the tech space, something along that line. Now, from a business standpoint, I do have clients where one was the founder, the designer, and the developer, you know, there's sort of a split, and the developer says, that's my product. I own that product because I developed it. Well, first of all, they should have had operating agreements, partnership agreements in place to say otherwise. But in that case, the founder, if it's his vision, and if he has, whether it's intellectual property, you know, patents, or other things that show that it was his concept and he had started it, and that developer was kind of that, I don't want to say work for hire, but in essence, if he was working on a project that belonged to the founder, anything that he developed belonged to the founder. So having those things in place agreement-wise is very important, but these are kind of the roles for the tech founders. So beyond the basics, investors want to invest in momentum and stories. So what are the basics? Financial performance. Of course, they want to see, depending on the stage that you're at, right? What do your projections look like? What does your market potential look like? Your business model, what solutions or what problems are you solving? Is there a need for it? Are people even interested in it? Market potential, assessing the size and that market opportunity, and again, your management team. But really what it is they want to hear your story. So you could have a great product, and you could have all of these, a great business plan and a pitch deck that says where all that money is going to go to, what you're going to invest in. But if you can't capture them in that first 10, 20 seconds with your story of what it is, then you lose them. So you want to be able to think about that as part of your branding and part of that marketing effort that you're going to put towards building your company. If you remember one thing, okay, 3. So number one, code doesn't sell itself. Stories do. Number two, if you're not doing marketing, your competitors are.
Ooh.
Then three, your brand is your startup's personality. So make it memorable. Okay, you want it to stand out. And then that's me again. That is my email address at the SBDC. So please feel free to reach out. I will do one-on-one consultation with you, find out what stage you are with your business, and I can step in and help with all of it, whether it's registrations, permitting, licensing, compliance, to actual growth strategies. Okay, any questions? And then we're going to introduce you to somebody else. Yes?
Two things. On when you say collaborators, and if you know having a funder and a founder, or not, yeah, I guess, or a founder and a designer. If you have them do, like what our company does is we do a charter. So there's a charter agreement and everybody does a working interview, and then there's a very clear path so they co-own what's happening, right? But the founder always has first rights of refusal to buy out that other because they were the founder. And so it's all fair, but everybody's motivated for it to be collaboratively owned instead of competitively, like, oh, that was mine, and then all you do is just orchestrate a court,
Sure.
proceeding. And so who wants to do that? So
Sure.
we use the charters. And then I have one other question, but that's the best way to get in touch with you is through your email?
That is the best way to get in touch with me. My office is at Blackfire Innovation over by IKEA.
Yeah.
But I work remotely, so I'm there maybe 1 or 2 days a week. If you want an in-person session, just email me, let me know, and then I can block out that time. Best days for me for in-person is probably like Fridays, maybe Tuesdays. But Fridays are always the best for in-persons. Otherwise, we can do them remotely. Or if you have a physical brick and mortar site, I'd be happy to go and visit your site as well. Okay, but thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different ways, right? And it really is a matter of putting the right agreement together. And that's why a lot of tech companies like doing the C Corp route so then they can offer equity share. But how about those that want to keep it private and they want to do, profit sharing? Or if they're staying as an LLC and they're doing member units. So there are a lot of different ways to do it depending on what your overall goal is, but it is really important to have those agreements in place at the very beginning. And a lot of people go into business, just as a thought, a lot of people go into business with their, with developers and designers because they're friends, right? I get that often where it's like, now we're not on the same page anymore, and I'm afraid it's gonna affect the friendship. Well, you never want that in place to happen. So you want to have the agreements, right? Who's responsible for what, roles and responsibilities, what does that equate to regarding percentage of revenue, profit share, equity share, exit strategies, right? And then does that mean that you have, if you're a 50-50 partner, do you have 50-50 equal voting rights, right? Or does the founder have more say in the direction of the company? Yes?
One quick way to, because that's a lot to have to think about and put down on paper. So I just record everything. I record it either by talking it out or video. And so it's documented, and it saves a lot of time in the court when you have documentation. This was my intention, and if we have to go back and revisit that, then it's already recorded, and there's a lot less fighting that way.
Yeah, and that's great for, the early stages, right? But when things start getting complicated and you're dealing with money and percentages and, right, and then it's like, what is the accountability factor? Like, well, you really, unless you complete these things and you really don't earn the 40% or whatever it is that you promised them. And that's hard to capture all in a recording. So it's still important at some point to get them down on paper.
Well, we use that to memorialize agreement afterwards, but it's basically recorded, so if we don't get around to that, there's another thing that happened, you can always go back and refer to it if the documentation is proceeding so fast.
Yeah, I love that. So thank you for that.
It's cheap, right? It doesn't cost you anything but a laptop.
Right.
Or a phone that you can record on. That's it.
Thank you for that. Yes?
I have a question. Now with the rise of AI, there are predictions that there will be companies with one person doing everything. One person startups where the person is the founder, the developer, the marketing team, the designer.
Well, a lot of
Can you
startups.
repeat the question? I couldn't hear, I don't know if anyone else could hear what she
Oh,
asked, but, no,
it's
I mean,
okay.
can you repeat what she said?
Yeah.
So we know.
So she was saying, how do you handle it when a lot of startups, tech startups, are the founder and the designer and the developer all in one? And then you've got AI in there. And I think what you're asking is along the lines of maybe protection. How do you protect?
Also, like the thoughts of how to manage that type of thing, because it's a lot for one person to handle. What point you kind of start to delegate that? What point is growth?
So at what point of growth do you start delegating those roles? And then when do you bring in AI, and kind of how does that fit in with all of it? So AI is a great tool. It's here to stay, right? But use it as a tool. It doesn't need to replace anybody. You can go in and, have it check code. You can say, oh gosh, rephrase this thing better for me, or create, if we're doing a podcast episode for one of our clients, create a 10 episodic, a series covering this topic. I mean, there are a lot of ways to use AI that makes it very useful and make you a lot more productive and efficient. But when it comes down to you as the founder, right, we have to put on the right hats. So we put on the founder hat, we put on the business owner hat, we put on the marketing hat, we put on our bookkeeper hat. You can't do it all. So I'm a big believer in working with your strengths. If I'm a visionary and I have my connection with my audience, that's really what I want to do. Do I want to do some of the marketing side? Yes. Am I very good at it? No. My marketing people will tell me, Rachel, don't do that. Good try, and we get what you're trying to do, but give it to somebody else. So that's a big part of it, right? Is we have to have that self-awareness to know what our strengths are, what is motivating us, what is our why in doing this. And the more that you can kind of stick to the core, then I believe that the momentum just goes faster. I believe you can just accomplish more. And then you use that story to find others who align with you. So maybe it's a developer that's like, gosh, I just need to put my skills to work. I don't need to do hard coding, but that's my background, but I need to learn about integrations. I need to be better at integrating all of these different platforms. I think I'd be a really good fit for you. So you want to find those people that connect with what you are doing, with the product stage that you're at, or your mission. The developer may be like, I love that industry. I am all about it. Let me help be part of your design team. Let me do your branding for you, right? So that's when you start thinking, you know what, I could really use that person, because even though I think I'm effective at it, I'm probably not the best person for it. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? Okay, well, at this time, I'd like to introduce our guest speakers who are going to delve more into professional branding and the importance of branding in your whole marketing strategy.
All right. Hey, everyone. How's everyone feeling this morning? Good. Thank you, Rachel, for having us today. If you have not taken advantage of the SBDC and this is your first time hearing it, as a client of the SBDC, is anyone else like an SBDC client? Yes, I know there's a few of us in there, but like she said, it's your taxpayer dollars at work. It's crazy that a lot of people, business owners, don't know about this service because, when you're first forming an LLC and there's all these questions on how to do I file for an S Corp? What are all these terms that I've never heard of? You got into your field of business to do what you're good at, and they don't teach us how all these forms and what all these steps look like. So the SBDC is an amazing resource, and Rachel, I can personally attest, is an incredible and really knowledgeable person to guide you. So thank you, Rachel, for having us. Hey everyone, my name is Sunshine, and then I am here with the Create Well girls, which we will do an intro in a little bit. But today, to go off of Rachel's talk, we're gonna talk a little bit about marketing your presence. So how many of us in here are founders? I know Rachel asked earlier, but I want to get another view of the room. Cool. So when you're a founder, you have your business or your startup, that needs its marketing as well. But what a lot of people, like Rachel mentioned in her presentation, just kind of like make an afterthought or kind of something that slips through the cracks is your professional branding, as the founder of your company. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to approach your brand visuals as a founder and establishing your professional presence, but in a way that not only communicates to your audience what you're actually about and who you are, but in a way that also feels good to you. All right, so just a quick overview of what we're going to do. I'm going to talk a little bit about the psychology of first impressions. We're going to have Mani talk about some somatic body stuff, and then Bingle is going to go ahead and take us home with from camera shy to camera ready. All right, so if I could have Monica and Bingle come up here with me, we're going to do a quick introduction. So together we've collaborated on something called Create Well, and it's a community rooted in creative wellness. What we do is we love to co-create spaces for entrepreneurs, visionaries, world builders, just to reconnect with themselves through reflection, intuition, and embodied expression. We recently this year launched a new series at my content studio called the Create Well series, which is focused on creative wellness, because something that I have found as a content strategist that's worked with a lot of brands and clients is no matter how knowledgeable you are about your business and how confident you are about your expertise and what you know, once it's time to put yourself in front of a camera or talk about your business, it's deer in headlights. How many of us could relate to that? Yeah, it's a very, very common thing, and so you're not alone. So what we really try to do is to just help redevelop your relationship to how you express yourself, and then also how you create, because even if you're not a creative, technically, at some point you might have, if you're not able to hire a whole marketing team yet, maybe you got to DIY your own marketing and you got to create your own content, right? And so there's a lot in between there that comes up when you're showing up as yourself, even if it's for your business. So a little bit about me. My background is in content marketing. I'm a video content producer. Started off at Zappos like 10 years ago, doing video content production there full time, and then that has evolved into a love for marketing, and then I opened a content studio a couple of years ago here in Vegas, which is meant to be a safe space for creatives and entrepreneurs to explore their creativity. Bingle, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Bingle. I have a photojournalism and communications background. I am a full-time photographer now. I have always been camera shy. That's why I wanted to always be behind the camera, spotlighting other people. But then I realized if I wanted to help spark confidence in others, I had to find it within myself. So then I turned the camera around. I started getting in front of the camera so I could help guide and direct other people that I want to work with. So the idea, Muse in Motion, is my baby. I empower business owners to show up in their own kind of brand presence, and because if your experiences with a photographer should start with comfort, led with direction, and with confidence.
Hi everyone, I'm Monica. I've recently started doing my intros a little bit differently, so I like to say now that I'm a co-creator of what I wish I had. I co-founded a nonprofit for the Filipino community called Feel Excellence. I also co-own Astoria, a pop-up restaurant here locally in Las Vegas with Albert, who's in the room right now too. But I do have experience in the tech world. I had internships at Stanford Healthcare doing software development, engineering, and then I did do internships as a product development engineer for a startup based in Chicago, where we were getting a surgical device approved through the FDA. So I'm very aware of what it's like to be in these environments, and my expertise here is bringing trauma-informed information and what it means to be embodied, and how that can represent you and your brand and the way that you lead much better.
Mm-hmm. So good. Thank you, ladies. You'll be hearing more from them in just a little bit. Thanks, guys. Oh, and the mantra that we like to keep throughout everything that we do is flowing over forcing, because we know that flow is where our best work comes out of, and it's more sustainable too. Because, yeah, I'm sure we've all experienced burnout, and a lot of that comes from, forcing things. So I want to do something with you guys for this next slide. When I go to the next slide, I want you guys to just think fast. Don't need to raise your hand, just when prompted, call out what you think about the following examples, all right? So again, you don't need to raise your hand, you could just call out. All right, first picture, what's his occupation? Lawyer, okay.
Head of a bank.
Oh, or a bank, all right. How about middle, where does she work? HR, I heard lawyer as well.
Courthouse, maybe.
What was that?
Courthouse.
Courthouse, ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Third one, how long has he been in his field?
15. He's a banker, 30.
Interesting, all right. Let's try something else. So let's go back to the first picture. Beyond his job, what is your gut feeling about this person? No judgment.
I wouldn't trust.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Big corporate guy just wants to make more money for the big guy.
He's gonna beat me.
Honestly, don't trust
Glenn, lawyers, the way to go. Call 877-19. No, sorry, Glenn. Didn't mean to throw him under the bus. Okay, interesting. What about the middle one? What energy does she project? Accommodating. That's a good
rule
one.
follower. Like she's
Rule follower.
a rule follower. She's going to get the job done and
Maybe she goes by the
toe
book.
the line, go by the book.
Yeah.
Slightly insecure.
Ooh, interesting.
Deflection.
The tension.
Yeah.
A little nervous. Interesting.
And she was posed. She didn't feel comfortable, so she was posed.
She was just told what to do.
Yeah.
I could see that. What about here? What's the vibe you get here?
I'm still learning.
Banker.
All right. No.
Please believe me.
Okay, please.
You don't want to be there.
Mid-level management needed a LinkedIn profile.
We're getting deep with the stories. Come on now. That's perfect. Thank you guys for participating.
This is so superficial in our own process, because you're going for your own personal, because this doesn't share anything.
Yeah.
So you're going through your own personal bias from your experience that's accumulated and your whatever that is. You haven't talked to this person, or you haven't even met this person, so this could be so open. So maybe that might be the real exercise, like where are you coming from?
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, and would love to delve into that a little bit more. So again, it was a no judgment zone. Thank you guys for just being so down to blurt out all of your answers. What I really wanted to get in here is to just think about, don't judge what came up, but just think about the things that came up for you just in a snap second, right? Did you feel a sense of trust or curiosity with any of these people as your first reaction? Do you feel like anybody was exuding any confidence? If you were meeting any of these individuals in a high stakes business context, say you were going to meet with them for a pitch or partnership discussions, how might these initial immediate feelings, not the ones that come after where you check yourself, but how might these immediate feelings influence your next steps or your next relationships with them, right? So in marketing, there's something called touch points, right? Touch points is basically every single interaction that you have with your customer or your potential customer, from awareness to conversion to close. So basically, when somebody first finds out about you or your brand or product, and how many touch points is required on average to actually get them to convert to close. So when I was in school, I remember it was 5 to 7 touch points on average. This is the most recent average I could find was 2023. It's estimated that it's about 8 to 12 touch points. So that means maybe them meeting you for the first time, maybe them seeing your LinkedIn post or seeing you on LinkedIn, maybe them seeing a piece of content, maybe them reading an email newsletter. Think about that. 8 to 12 points from awareness to conversion. And that's not even considering what it takes for them to be a repeat customer, right? I saw something out there that was saying that because there's no specific consensus, this is kind of like the average. There are some studies out there that even suggest that at this point in time, it can even take up to 20 touch points, which is really believable considering the age of digital overload and information overwhelm, and attention is currency at this point, right? And so I brought that exercise up earlier just to kind of frame how, though we have evolved a little bit, or like we like to think that we're evolved, right? And then we make conscious choices about how we view the people that we work with and how we interact with them. But to be honest, someone seeing your photo, that is also their first touch point with you. And so it's up to them what they're going to do with that there. Now, I like that, it was pointed out that we should also consider approaching with curiosity, and not operating off of those snap judgments. But the thing is, a picture really does tell a story, and some of the stories that were shared here got really creative. I was just looking for like one-worded answers, and we were getting like entire origin stories for some of these answers. And so that just shows how narrative-driven our brains are when we process just visuals and information, right? Has anyone here read *Sapiens*? The book *Sapiens*, or heard of the book *Sapiens*? Super interesting. I haven't finished it yet, but something that really stood out to me was just the concept of Homo sapiens and the cognitive revolution in the grand scheme of our evolution is very, very new. Like, we are actually like monkeys in cubicles, like they say, So if you look over here, this was kind of like the first version of it was 4 million years ago. And just to give some context, this is us. Homo sapien is like the intellectual version of the sapien. In the grand scheme of this timeline, we are still very, very early on in our evolution. So there's still so much primitive wiring and like operating that is ingrained in us from an evolutionary standpoint. So again, it's not your fault if you have a snap judgment. The first thing you think is, this person isn't trustworthy. That's because we were, at one point, we were evolved to have to determine, is this a threat or is this safe? Is this a friend or is this foe? Am I going to get eaten? Is this a predator or am I the prey? So just kind of thinking about how some of our operating systems that we have adopted through, our evolution run. And I know that, again, we like to think that we're really evolved, but even if we're really evolved, just the fact that, we're dealing with people as customers, we also have to consider that they are also making these judgments as well. So no one is safe from propaganda. We won't go into that, I'm just kidding. I love this quote by Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I know, especially with us having, a lot of us having tech companies and like tech products, we love to lead with features and like what's so different about us and what do we do, right? But again, our audience is already overloaded with so much information. So something to consider is, they may most likely, especially if it's only been one touch points or even a couple, they might forget. They'd be like, oh, that person that does this or whatever, but they were really cool. Or they seem like somebody that I would like to hang out with, right? Or work closely with. The feeling is what we remember. So what I'm getting at is when it comes to establishing your authority and presenting yourself as a leader in the tech space, you really need to balance being seen as an expert but approachable as well, because like what Rachel was saying, people also really factor in who they want to work with. You're going to be working closely long hours with these people sometimes. Is that somebody you want to deal with? Like somebody said about the first guy, it looks like that guy would beat them in court. Like, do you want to? Or maybe he was just out to get as much money as possible, right? So I invite you guys to kind of just think about when building and your marketing, what kind of visual stories do your visuals currently tell? And how can you communicate both competence and relatability? It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can always find that sweet spot, right? So every touch point, LinkedIn, your website, your speaking engagements, your media, should reinforce the same narrative. Because again, everybody is processing so many different types of people. So keeping your branding visuals consistent is going to be really helpful for creating a memorable impact. And in the age of digital overload, your images can either reinforce, confuse, clutter, or just completely be forgotten altogether. What's costing you from not investing or considering your visual story with your brand? Maybe at a subconscious level, you're not pursuing opportunities because you don't have the visual assets. Let's say you get asked to speak on a podcast or a keynote speaker. What are you going to submit to them when they ask for a photo to put on their poster or in their marketing assets, right? Are you going to give them a selfie? Or what do you want to, and even if you do, what do you want to communicate? I love both these photos are actually taken by Bingle at the studio, and it's just, this one is my favorite because I believe she wanted to do this for a book, right? And I was like, can you guys just see it? I'm like, she definitely looked like she belongs on the cover of a book, and she has a PhD, and her visuals are not really doing anything to make you believe otherwise, right? Like, you believe it. But we also want to recognize, and this is kind of the purpose of Create Well and why I was born, because as important as it is to communicate to your audience and create a lasting brand impression, we are also still people behind all of this, right? I think, man, what was the quote? If someone remembers, during announcements earlier, there was a quote that they said about Tech Alley, and it was like, yeah, we're focused on tech, but at the heart of it, we're all humans, like, we're humans in community. I wrote it down in my phone, but I just thought that was so perfect, because with all of this product and technology, at the end of it, we are connecting with humans. It's H to H, as it's been said before, not B2B, not B2C. It's always H to H at the heart of everything, right? So as humans, though, we come with our own stories, we come with our own limiting beliefs and narratives and stories that we've carried with us. And so we often forget about our own user experience when we are creating our marketing and our branding and telling our stories. So we recognize that it takes courage to show up. So as I said, that's why I created Sunshine Digital Content Studios, which is meant to be a safe space to explore your creativity and your self-expression. These are some of the workshops that we've done in the past, where people really just get to practice and play, so that way you can get in the sustainable practice of showing up and expressing, so that way you're not forcing yourself to do it for like 30 days, 60 days, whatever, but then you hate it and then you just created like all these negative reinforcements. And then just end up pushing it off subconsciously. Bingle's going to talk a little bit about like subconscious beliefs when it comes to clients and whatnot, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to your body. What's your experience when you are creating? Moni is going to talk about how the body keeps the brand. So let's give it it.
Thank you, Sunshine. I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. Stand up, please.
All right.
I'm going to do just a quick shakeout, just to remind everyone that we are human. We have bodies. Wherever you want to shake out from your hands, you can kick the person next to you. Do a little wiggle, shake out. Cool. I needed that myself. You can sit back down. I don't know. I know people don't love talking about feelings and emotions and all of the things, but that is also important too. It's part of our human experience, and I think Sunshine teed that up so well with what I wanted to talk about today. More about me, though. I mentioned the things that I've done earlier, but I accumulated a following on TikTok, across social media, over or almost 500,000 people. But at the end of the day, same thing. Like, how many of you have experienced burnout or feel like you're teetering close to the edge of burnout? Okay, a few people in here. That's a recurring theme across all the communities that I've been a part of is we keep going. We're kind of trained to deliver. outputs, deliverables. But rarely do we ever come back to ourselves.
So, has anyone here heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score?
Yeah.
How have y'all come to find that book? Or I guess what's a key takeaway from that book that you have? Anyone that raised their hand?
You are who you think you are, and also what you're doing, how you actually truly feel about it, not pretend to feel about it. It's actually it's very interesting, because if you pretend to feel or put on this facade, then it's actually damaging your body. But if you just really are who you are, and you're proud of it, and you're good with it, then it does, no matter what, as long as it does no harm, it will not hurt your body. That's what's my key takeaway from that.
Yes. I think something that I took away from that book is you can't fight the mind with the mind. You have to go to the body first. And so that's an important kind of thing to think about when you ground yourself into any work that you're doing in order to meet the needs of the communities that you're trying to serve, to meet the needs of the person experiencing your product. But this is an example of the polyvagal theory, which is discussed in the book that I mentioned. It basically depicts the nervous system. You can be in two different states. One where you're kind of in fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode, where you're dysregulated, you're not balanced, maybe it's before a pitch, or maybe it's before a presentation, where you're feeling like the nerves, you're feeling overwhelmed. But there are strategies and tools for you in order for you to come back to your body and ground yourself before any big presentation or interaction. And then this is another way of thinking about your nervous system. So there are people that do tend to go into the hyper-aroused state, which is the fight or flight response, but there's also people that do freeze. That's me. That is me. When I'm about to walk into a room and I suddenly feel overwhelmed because there's so many people, I have to talk and socialize. I hate networking. It sucks. But I think I actually told myself that I hated networking because I wasn't really showing up as my true, authentic self. I wasn't grounded and embodied in who I am and who I was. I was just putting on a mask, a front. And so ultimately, too, you can't outrun the body. The body will always win. So I know there's a lot of nuance. Every individual is very different. We all come with our own stories, but just to generalize and to give a picture, when you're an overthinking founder and your nervous system is not in check, these are some things that might come up. Some signals that might be received from the other person on the other side of the screen, of the Zoom room, however you're receiving me right now. But there's also the embodied founder, someone that is grounded. They know how to stay within their window of tolerance, of presence. And they're giving the signals that they do want to receive because they're fully present in what they're doing. So even now, if you take a look around the room, you can also kind of feel the vibe, the energy of the person next to you. It's coded in our DNA. So I want to kind of lead us through practical ways to think about grounding, especially when you're in how am I saying this? Tools that you can use right away. Keep them in your toolkit. So right away, expansive posture, like I'll invite everybody to just practice right now. Sit up in your seat. You can already feel when you kind of bring your chest up, expand your posture a little bit, you feel a little bit more confident, like you're ready to execute. You're ready to deliver something. Your breath, you're leaving a lot more room to breathe, opening up your airways.
Okay, so first, I'm going to leave you with a little protocol. I want you to either discuss with the next person next to you, just a grounding phrase that aligns with you. It doesn't have to be 100% true. You don't have to believe it, but something that you can always come back to when you are feeling a little overwhelmed, nervous, a little down, anxious. What is something that you can tell yourself? It's like a little mantra. You don't have to call it that. This isn't a mindset class. This is more about the body. But something that you can either trick your brain into thinking and believing before moving into something overwhelming. Does anyone want to share which one feels good to them? Yeah.
I got this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're in simulation.
True. Also true. We can play the game. Yeah.
I tell myself I don't have to do anything.
Yes.
I could want to do anything.
Yes.
Just breathe. Everything's gonna be okay.
It will. Anyone else?
Yeah, our true aura precedes us.
Oh, wow. Say it again, please.
Our true aura precedes us.
Our true aura precedes us. Wow. That's powerful.
Just smell it. Feel it.
Okay, I'm going to invite everybody to join in this little code exercise. So again, I'm going to ask you to just sit upright in your seat. We're going to move through each letter together. I'll guide you through it. I'm going to ask everyone to close their eyes. Oh, you can take that photo. Yes, please close your eyes. I know it feels a little silly and uncomfortable, especially in spaces like these. I can all see you. If you're not closing your eyes, don't. We're in a safe space. I like to call them brave spaces. So C stands for check. Keeping your eyes closed. I want you to do a little body scan from the top of your head. Is your jaw clenched? How's your throat feeling? Your chest. Imagine a light moving down from the top of your head all the way down, moving to the belly, your hips, all the way down to your feet. Any tension that you notice, just notice it. There's nothing wrong with it. This is your internal status update. Then I want you to O-orient. Feel your feet on the floor. Your toes, your heel. Stack your spine. Come into the room now. You don't have to float. You just can land and ground. Then I want you to D, drop in. So inhale slowly through the nose. Pause for a moment. And exhale slower through the mouth. Let's do that one more time. Big inhale through the nose. And exhale slowly out through your mouth. It's a big reset. And then E, execute. In your mind, say that grounding phrase to yourself internally. It's like your source code. Just remind yourself, your signal is clear. You belong in the room. You lead with presence. You already know how to run your business, the code, whatever vision that you have. You are the one responsible to making sure that it is stable, clean, ready to lead. Now open your eyes. How are you all feeling?
Yeah.
Powerful. So simple, but so powerful. Your breath is your power. And so, thank you for letting me share just something that I'm very passionate about. I'm going to invite Bingle up to move from your personal user experience to how that translates into the user interface.
I got a quick question for you guys. So I'm trying to figure out, like, are you guys in one group, or are you three separate folks kind of doing a collaborative presentation today?
Yeah, so Create Well is our collective, but we each run our own businesses. Yes.
Through the SBC.
I'm sorry?
Through the SBC.
So Rachel is my mentor. She's also Sunshine's mentor. Yes, so she's helping. Yeah, she's helping us through.
Calling card because she's good.
Yes, she really is. Thanks, Rachel. So I'm here to talk about going from camera shy to camera ready, and this isn't about modeling. It's about embodying your professional presence, but kind of bringing your personality into it. So, personal branding photography. In personal branding photography, there's a mindset shift that I have also learned. So I have a poll. I asked Instagram what your biggest worry is when posing for brand photos. And the most common top concern is looking stiff or awkward in front of the camera. The other ones are not knowing what to do with your hands, not feeling photogenic, and the last one is not capturing my brand's personality. Who here feels like theirs would be looking stiff or awkward in front of the camera? Sometimes, yeah. So the reason it's important to reframe our mindset is because your business deserves to be seen, especially if you are the face of your business. This is just to say, a photograph isn't just something to post online. It could be the cover of your next best-selling book or new podcast. Your photos should reflect the confidence you bring to your business. So I just have a little quick story about transforming the mind of a transformation coach. When I first met, her name is Rochelle, I met her and she embodied confidence. But when she booked a shoot with me, she told me right before the shoot, she was like, I have not been feeling good in my body. I've been feeling like this for a week. I don't feel confident. And by the end of it, she goes, wow, that's me? Because it was more of, there's a lot more than just posing in front of the camera. She's building a personal brand that she wants to show her audience that her elevated, she wants to work with more, I want to say higher profile clientele. So she was like, how do I reach them? I have to show up in that same way. So now she can use these in her marketing, branding, messaging, social media, and I was just happy to be part of her journey. So I want to invite you guys. We are doing a Create Well workshop on owning your image. It's a personal brand posing workshop for entrepreneurs, founders, and professionals, so it is co-ed. What you can expect is learning the body language that personalizes your professional presence. You'll get a 10-minute mini photo shoot, photographed by me, at Sunshine Digital Content Studios. So you have a little, she opened up a little sneak peek of how her content studio looks, and it's a very safe space. People are not going to be, all around you watching you. It's going to be it's a safe space. And you'll receive a studio headshot and select personal brand photos. So you'll have a little mini gallery ready for marketing. And we wanted to offer you guys a special code today. If you need new LinkedIn photos that actually represent you and not just like this, arms crossed. If you're actually a friendly person, I don't even recommend crossing your arms. You want to be inviting. There's so much behind it, but definitely wanted to invite you guys. Use code TechAlley, and it's going to be on Saturday, June 28th, next week. From 3:30 to 5:30. Thank you. I almost forgot that. But that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for listening and being open to how being present starts with your mind, getting into your body, and showing up for your business.
Thank you so much. It was really great. Thank you so much, guys. As a founder for my own company, I'm always thinking in terms of features, fixing code, fixing my bugs, and I forget to get grounded back into myself, getting back into my core, into my why, what is my actual mission, and then even the professional brand, I'm going to book a session with you.
Oh, thank you.
Because even something like that, right? We get ahead of ourselves and we think about all of these things on our task list and our to-do list in order to meet these deadlines, our goals, all of these priorities, and we do feel overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed. I don't think I respond to it with my body, but I'm sure I do, right? Even the exercises that you did, I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I've done that. It was really important to get back into my core. So I loved all their messaging. What does that mean from a business and a marketing standpoint, and as a tech startup and as a founder? That we always have to go back to our core, right? Always go back to the core. Always go back to the fundamentals. That's why we do these innovation essentials, right? We always want to go back to, let's not get ahead of ourselves without having that proper framework in place and all of these different tools that are going to support it. So thank you so much for coming. Please support them. I'm sure we could all use new LinkedIn headshots. I know I do. But thank you, I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.